find a scalar value for that. So how we can find a scalar value? So I will just go in back and show you what I am saying actually. Let's say I am in the data tab here and I am inside this plant value. Inside plant value there are values. See, plant value distribution. These values are repeating so many times. See, there will be so many times it is repeating. But if I want to convert this iteration in a scalar value, I need to have an aggregation. It can be an average of this complete column, it can be maximum value, it can be minimum value, or a sum value. Anything should be which is giving me a single value, scalar value. So to remember this, whenever we are using an iterative value in a DAX formula, we need to use the aggregate, yani scalar value. In order to make it a scalar, what I am going to do, I am going to say that divide the sum of what? Plant value. This is the value, plant value cost distribution. Now you see what is the purpose of writing this DIS when we were doing Power Query, inside the Power Query. See, there are so many PV, DIS, which value to pick. It is telling me instantly this is the value I need to pick, okay? Because this large bracket is telling me that it's a column, and this before large bracket is telling me that it's a table. So there are many tables: ACDIS, actual distribution, actual cost distribution, actual labor distribution. Inside this table there are many columns, so column is represented inside this large bracket. So I know that I want to go into this table, and under that table there are 4 columns right now. I want to go into this column, DIS. So simply just click here, the sum of this column, and whenever you write the sum, average, minimum, maximum, so you need to close the bracket always. Otherwise, if you do not close and if you move forward, it will give you error and you might not be able to find in the initial stages of your DAX learning. So you need to be very careful with the syntax, that you close it whenever you write the sum, average, minimum, maximum, all these things. Okay, so now what we have done the numerator part, that sum of plant value we need in the numerator. What we need in denominator? We need the sum of, okay, what? We need the sum of. We now need to navigate that where our data is lying. We know that data is in activities fact table. So you can simply write that the budget. If you write budget, it will show you what are the possible options available. The available options are all inside this table. And what we need, we are using this plant value cost. So we need to take the cost here and we need to close this. An alternate option, you can just remove that, means it's not necessary. So simply it is giving me the complete syntax of the measure. So this is the way you can write measure. So now it is showing you plant value cost distribution. So I can make it a percentage and I can make it to decimal place. Yeah, it is fine. There is one more way to write this, which is also very simple. So what you can do, simply new measure, and I want to write is plant value labor distribution %. And what I will do, I will not go into the divide formula. I will simply go sum of, okay, what? Sum of plant value labor. Now it is giving me that this table and all available columns. Okay, this one I need close that, and I want simply division of what? Sum of, and then what I need, it's a labor. So I will write BUD, budgeted labor unit, simply. So it will also give me the same result because I have used the operator as a divide here. So numerator divided by denominator, so it is also going to give me the result. So I will call this, I will make this as a percentage as well. So these are the few ways you can write the DAX code, and there are many other you can say functions, operators. You can use the average, the count. For example, let's say I want to count the number of activities. So what I can do, simply, let's say here I want to count, right click and new measure. I will say this language is similar to Excel in many ways, like this operators are quite similar. So count activity, I will say just. So simply just go count, and you need to give the column name now. What column name you want? Let's say I want activity ID. There are so many activities available. So what I want activity ID, this table. If I click here now, so it will give me the count of that. So how many counts are there? So similarly, the average, the minimum, the maximum, all the values can be found there. The syntax is same. So now we will move towards the little complex formulas, that how we can use a complex formula. So now we will go for a little bit of time intelligence formulas. So there are many time intelligence formula which we need to use. So for example, for time intelligence, what we can use, what we want to use, we want to create the project elapsed duration, project total duration, project remaining duration, and their percentages. So which we will be using in our this area. And guys, this you need to select, and you need to make one understanding where you want to put your KPIs, because there are so many tables, there are so many columns, so you should know where you have put your KPIs. For example, cost related KPIs you can put here. Cost related KPIs means measures, and the calculated columns you can put into earned value, cost, and actual cost, and planned cost. So you should decide where you have put. I usually what practice that I put all the KPIs into earned value, so that all my SPI, all my CPI related to cost, EAC, VAC, estimate to complete will be here. So I every time know that they are here. So we need to decide. Related to time functions, I always put them under this part, dates, time. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to calculate the project duration, total duration, then we will go and calculate the project time elapsed, project remaining duration. For that there are few measures, there are few formulas which we can use. The most common formula which we will be using under time intelligence, because there are multiple formulas. This software is not only for the project, this software is for many industries. So there are many formulas which are not related to us, but we will not be using them. So the only you can say the workable formula which I have found so far are the date difference, and you can say the start week number, week numbers, and all these we might be using. So let's start with this. So what I'm going to do, going to write a new measure, okay, and I'm going to call it the project duration. And what I'm going to do, that there are few formulas, but for us we are going to use date diff. What it does, returns a number of units, any intervals between the two input dates. So we know that the project duration is the project last date minus the project start date, so we will be using that. So there are three arguments. First argument date 1, date 2, and then interval. So what is our date 1? So it should be our minimum of, because we need to remember the shape of the data. Where we can find the baseline dates, we know that the baseline dates are always present in activities window, not in resource assignment or anywhere. In activities window, baseline dates are available, and we know that the data is in iterative form. So we need to use some of the aggregation to call. So if I just go back and show you how the data is in iterative form for the baseline dates, let's say we know that now baseline dates are present in fact table, and these are the dates: actual start, actual finish, baseline start, baseline finish, and start, any forecasted start and finish, all are available. So if I go and check the baseline dates, let's say, so these dates are now iterative. We know that iterative. So in order to make the aggregation, because we need to use the aggregation in a measure, so for that we need to make a minimum or maximum. So how we can decide, so that the minimum date of the project start, which will be the first day of the project start, baseline start, and the maximum date of the baseline date. So this will be our project duration. So let's go here now. What I am going to write, that the minimum of, okay, what baseline, you write BL, so it should give you the available options. So if I go here, check, these are the available options: baseline finish, baseline start. So the minimum of the baseline start date, okay, and then put this comma, what is the maximum date? The maximum of the baseline finish date. So BL, if you write, it will give you this is. So this will give me the project duration, original duration. So project baseline, maximum date. The next last argument is what type of difference you want. So in our case, we don't want week, we don't want year, we only want the day. That means 365 days in a year. So it will give me the duration in the form of days. So now if I go and check project duration, it is here. So in order to just check that, so what you can do, it's a visual card. If I just put it here, so the total duration is coming 839 days. So what you can do, simply just check your baseline duration in the contract duration. If maybe you need to add +1 or -1, you can add, because sometimes our calculation says that if you have 2 dates available and you want to calculate a duration, you need to do +1 in the end. If you have one date, which can be project start date, and you have the duration, and you want to calculate another date, which is a project finish date, you need to subtract 1. So sometimes P6 calculation is different, Excel calculation is different, and Power BI is different. So you need to check what is the